Good morning. These are my initial impressions of the Nankang CR-S version 2 in a size 225 45 15 on a 15 by 8 wheel. I've just had a weekend of track day on Friday. I did 40 odd laps at Calder Park and then went to Bryant Park for the last round of the Victorian Hill Climb Championship. I probably did 6 runs on Sunday, maybe 11 hill climb runs over the weekend. This is on my 97 Honda Civic EK4 B16 usual suspension stuff. Nearly 350,000 Ks, great car. Just to summarize other tyres I've run, so I don't know, you can understand my experience. I've run everything from 828Rs, RS3s, RS4s, NT01s, AO50 softs and mediums, Hoosier A7s, Dunlop DZ03G, whatever the softest ones are. And the last tyre before this, Nankang, I was on the Bridgestone RE71 RS, which was my first little step into the super 200 treadwear tyres. I ran those for 12 months or so. Not to be full YouTuber, but I did do another video on those talking about my experiences. And in that video, I said I was going to buy another pair, or another set, sorry. But then my interests in other tyres, and also reading the Grassroots Motorsports review on the version 2 of these tyres, the Nankang CR-S, got me interested, so I thought I would go and give these a go. Go give these a try. The RE71 RS with a 205 50 15. This is, as I mentioned, a 225 45. Those two tyres in those two different sizes are the same price. So if the Bridgestone was available in a 225 45 and not a 50, I would have bought that. So I think for a, this isn't the most scientific comparison, not that it is a comparison. But I think if you're shopping a 205 50 on an 8-inch rim, you're probably going to be also shopping a 225 45. So that's why I bought these. The 205 50 in the CR-S is $950, which is a good $200 and something cheaper than the 225. So if you were putting it on like a 15 by 7 or you just like that size, you know, it is a cheaper option. Cheapest probably sounds like it's not as good. A better value option. So there you go in terms of price. 225 45. I quite like that tire size on a 15 by 8. I think it looks better. The rolling diameter is the same as a 205 50, but you do get, you know, a wider tire without any disadvantages of going to an even taller 225 50. Which for a little engine with very little power, that makes a huge impact on where I'm changing, you know, where you're changing gears, acceleration, top speed, and all that kind of stuff. So back to my experiences. I didn't get a chance to heat cycle these tires like I have previously. You know, I've got the keys to a racetrack, so I do have that opportunity, but life got in the way. So the first time driving on them, other than to and from the track, first time driving them on the track they were a brand new tire. So I spent the first session running a few laps at, you know, reasonable pace to scrub the fronts in. I then rotated them front to rear to put some heat into the rears that are now on the front. And so the first real session on this tire was the third, where straight away I went from a 112 flat on, you know, a month before on the old RE71 RSs. So dropped that down to a 110.8. This is only the second time I've been to Calder Park, so there is some pace there in, you know, gaining familiarity of a track. But looking at the data, not just from session 3, but from the rest of the sessions I did, we're consistently, you know, a few kilometers up everywhere on every corner. And also 10 odd kilometers, I think it was, through the little kink there. I think that comes from, yeah, like I said, familiarity with the track, but also shows how much grip this tire does have. It was quite impressive, and I think it also from the squarer, more square shoulders on this, it didn't have that feeling that the Bridgestone had of where you turned in and you felt like the tire just kind of rolled. This is me doing steering wheels with my hand behind the camera, but it felt like it kind of just rolled and then kind of sat into the grip, and then it would grip from there, whereas this didn't have that. Not that that was a huge disadvantage of the Bridgestone, but it was just moving from very stiff tires, stiff sidewall tires, AO50s and Dunlops and things like that. That was the first thing that I really noticed. It was quite warm at Calder Park on Friday, 20 odd degrees, which for August in Melbourne is quite warm. I did feel the tyre, I'd say losing grip, but you felt a little bit more slip when you're trying to push it through mid-corner. This didn't impact lap times too much. We're still looking at, 111 flat consistently, 111 ones, 111 twos. So on a circuit that length, that's not too bad. There was a fair bit of traffic, and realistically I was just punting it around and having a bit of fun. So I can't really comment on, well, I can because I've got the data, but this tyre doesn't get faster the more laps you get, like some tyres like an AO50 medium. This is a Super 200 treadwear tyre. The fastest lap realistically is always going to be your first, second, maybe third, depending on the heat and track conditions of where you are. Heat on both of the atmosphere, in the air, as well as the surface temperature. So yeah, overall it was a positive day. I had a really fun time driving on the tyre. It did what I wanted it to do. Once I worked out the PSIs, I think I was going down to like 24 cold, which ended up at about 30, 31 hot. That probably shows you how warm it was. The tyre handled it as it should. Yeah, no complaints at all. It was very good. Then onto the weekends, I was at Bryant Park for hill climb. It was freezing not so much on the Saturday. So initial runs where it wasn't too bad, bit of wheel spin off the line, but I didn't really think too much about that on Saturday, and I didn't do many practice runs. It was just to make sure that the track was going where it needs to be and that the car was doing what it was supposed to. On Sunday, it was freezing. I don't know how hot, let's say 12 degrees. I was wearing long sleeves, jumper, hood up, and a jacket. I really struggled with grip, particularly off the start line. I don't usually do tyre warming leading up to the start line, but the first run I spun a heap of wheel off the start line, and then through turn two, big tank slapper, just no grip in the rear. But then once I got past that and onto the rest of the layout, which was one of the shortest ones we've got, there was plenty of grip. So that was run one. Run two, I didn't do any tyre warming and got the same issue. So spun a lot of wheels. The rear was a little bit loose, but better than it was the first run. And it was a reasonably quick run, like 40, low 40s, let's say. And that's where we kind of were. So run two, or wherever we were at. I did do a burnout and a tyre warming on a couple of the runs, and that was a vast improvement in grip straight off the line. Very little wheel spin. Looked like on the video it moved quite quickly out of the corner. I was a bit tentative, no, wrong word. A bit hesitant through turn two. You can see in the time that I lifted off and then got back on the accelerator through there, it was probably double what it should be. So there's a bit of time lost, but from there there was plenty of grip. So the Grassroots Motorsports review on this tyre says that it does need some heat to activate, to work, and that was my findings on the weekend. But after that, the grip was there. It was quite immense. For the first time ever, I was able to hit the rev limiter at the end of the straight, at the top of third. That's never happened on any layout with any tyre before. So, you know, I've run A7s and A50s of various heights and widths. And yeah, even the, you know, 225/45. Who's your A7? I'm on a 15/9. That's a little bit shorter than this. You know, I don't have another one of those tyres to measure, but it is shorter. So even with that shorter tyre, I was never able to hit the limiter there. So that's probably a good comment, positive comment on the grip that this tyre has, the Nankang CR-S. So yeah, I was quite impressed by that. I've been trying to do it most of this year, and I've got very close with the RE71 RS, but wasn't able to achieve that until this run, or this weekend, sorry. So yeah, for the initial impressions of 40 odd laps and, you know, a dozen odd hill climb runs, I was quite impressed. This tyre grips reasonably well once you've got that initial heat into it. So hopefully as the weather improves going towards the end of the year, I won't have to spin the wheels to get that grip, and that, you know, just from the heat both in the air and on the track, and, you know, maybe first run, we'll stick around, and, you know, we won't have to worry about burning rubber to create that heat. And yeah, you know, I'm not going to sell these tyres. Like it isn't a, they're good enough that I'm going to keep them for the moment, and we'll continue to run them. I've got another hill climb in September, going back to East Sale Sprints at the start of October. So yeah, good. And I think it looks better on the car, which, not that it really matters, but I like the squarer profile of this over the slightly rounder Bridgestones. So, you know, if that's important to you, then maybe it is. So, and if I didn't mention at the start, this is the version 2. So both these tyres were made in weeks 15 and 16 of 2023. From what the internet tells me, anything made in 2023 is the newer compounds, which, you know, is faster in general. So yeah, if you live in a cold area, I wouldn't bother buying this tyre if you do like autocross or hill climbs or anything like that. There is better options, even just in that Bridgestone or in, you know, AO50s or something like that. Yeah, this tyre does need that initial heat, and then it's quite grippy. So yeah, how long have we been talking for? Bang on 13 minutes. We'll see how this goes. And I probably won't do another video until this tyre is done in 12 months time, because we're not a YouTuber. Thanks.